Hello and welcome to another episode of the Talking of Minds podcast. And this episode, we will be talking about sleep and sleep hygiene. We'll see how sleep is important, what are the major theories about sleep, and how we can try and improve our sleep, the quality of it and the quantity of it. So sleep is an essential state of the body and mind for most animals, including humans. And we have considerably reduced muscle activity and sensory activity during the period of sleep. That's how we can broadly understand what it is. And there are competing theories which try to explain why sleep happens and why it is important. And all these theories are being considered by science in their experiments and explorations. So one major theory is called the repair and restoration theory, which states that sleep is essential for the restoration and the revitalization of all those physiological processes, the processes in the body that keep the body and mind healthy, and that it is also essential for the proper functioning of the body as a whole, not only the brain and the associated nervous system and all, but for the entire body. So that's the repair and restoration theory. There is an evolutionary theory which says that this periods of activity and inactivity which cycle, which happen on loop, are a part of the human evolution, and that they are a means of conserving energy for the organism. So there are other processes for conservation of energy, such as hibernation by certain animals that live in extreme conditions. So similarly, the evolutionary theory states that these periods of activity and inactivity, so the waking state is a period of activity and sleep is a period of inactivity, that these are essential for conservation of energy, and that they evolved as part of the evolution of human animal. There is another theory called the information consolidation theory, which we can also call the memory consolidation theory, which proposes that people sleep in order to process information that has been acquired during the daytime. In a sort of cleanup of the memory, or the association of memory to process all the things that we have been through the previous day, select the ones to keep and select the ones to discard, and it also allows the brain to prepare for the days to come based on whatever we have received on the previous day. So that's the information consolidation theory. And there is another theory called the cleanup theory, which says that sleep allows the brain to clean itself up, which is similar to what we saw in the information consolidation theory, to decide what to keep and to decide what not to keep, and to keep everything in order to find the places in which the memories are to be stored, etc. So these are the major theories which right now we are considering about this phenomenon of sleep. And there is no doubt that sleep is a very important part of the human, the human living process. And it is said that it can take up to 4 nights to make up for 1 hour of lost sleep. This could be an overstatement. We don't have definitive evidence for that. But, one thing is certain is that, we cannot treat sleep like, the way we borrow money from a person and then we give it as a whole or in parts. Sleep does not work that way. So if we lose sleep for considerable points of time, it is sometimes, irreversible for the human brain and the body. And sleep has got certain relationships with the other bodily processes, including our physical health and mental health. And the relationship between mental health and sleep is kind of a mutual relationship. Each one has an impact on the other. For example, in certain mental disorders such as clinical depression, anxiety, seasonal affective disorder, etc., these disorders can cause significant issues with your sleep. They can cause problems with the quality and the quantity of the sleep that you get. And sleep deprivation can have serious impacts on your mental health. For example, short-term sleep deprivation can increase your stress levels, increase your emotional distress. It can have major impacts on your cognitive functioning, such as the processing of language, etc. It can have an impact on your memory itself, how much you are able to use your memory, how much you are able to learn things and memorize things. It can also have an impact on your performance, the performance of your brain. For example, the quality of work that you do with your brain. All these can be impacted by short-term deprivation of sleep. And the long-term deprivation of sleep can have all these effects, and along with them it can also increase the risk of hypertension, increase the risk of cardiovascular issues, increase the risk of gastrointestinal diseases, and so on. So in the short term and in the long term, sleep deprivation can have serious impacts on our mental health and also on physical health. And continuous sleep deprivation can have an impact on your circadian rhythm, which we also call the biological clock, which can also be a major concern for many people, especially if you are working in an environment where it involves prolonged nighttime work, and this nighttime work involves cognitive load to the brain. It can have an impact on your circadian rhythm as well. And now we'll look at some techniques for sleep hygiene. Now, all these techniques may not work equally for all of us. There is a lot of individual differences in which one works best for me or you, and some of them work better for others, better for some people than others. So one way to increase the quality of your sleep is to reduce stress. Yes, stress management. Stress is something that cannot be avoided, and certain levels of stress is important for human functioning also. You cannot function without any kind of stress. But the way we handle stress is important. So what we call as the skill of stress management. So managing your stress is an important task when it comes to the quality of your sleep. Another thing is having a consistent sleep schedule. Now, sleep schedule can have one or two components. One is obviously the amount of sleep that you get. So a minimum of 6 hours of sleep is essential for most humans. There could be exceptional people who need lesser than that, and there could be people who could need at least 8 to 9 hours of sleep. So most of us fall in between this 6 and around 8 hours of sleep requirement, and we can by time we can understand what is the optimum level of sleep that we need. It is important not to get or not to have a habit of getting less than this. So if 6 hours is essential for you, you should try to get 6 hours of minimum sleep on almost every day, and do not go far beyond this. So if 6 is enough for you, do not plan for 8 hours of sleep every day. That may not be necessary. So know what are your sleep requirements and try to follow that. And another part of the sleep schedule is the times that you go to bed and get up every day. That also has to be consistent. This amount of sleep is not alone important. The schedule that you set for sleep is also important, and there can obviously be differences in this. For example, on a weekend, this can be disrupted. But even in that case, even in the case of such disruptions, it is important that we keep this difference as to a maximum of around 1 hour. So on weekends you can probably wake up an hour late or a couple of hours late, but it is always best to keep this in check. So too much of variation on a daily basis and on this schedule and the amount of sleep is not advisable. Another thing is to establish a nightly routine. What you do before around half hour or an hour before your sleep is important. That's what we call this nightly routine. And this activity, whatever you do during that time, should be something that helps you get to sleep easily and better. So for some people it can be light stretching exercises. For some people it can be listening to certain kinds of music that we love. For some people it can be journaling, writing down things that has happened on the day. Now journaling can also be used as a stress relief technique. For some people, it could be bathing. For some people, it could be reading, not reading on a computer screen, but reading something on paper. For some people, it can be breathing exercises. Whatever that is, whichever thing works for you, try to establish that as a daily, nightly routine that you follow for the half hour or 1 hour before your sleep. Another important thing is to create the environment for sleep, in whichever way is possible. If you are a person who is, living on a single room, where you do everything in a single room, it could be difficult. But if you have a place or a bedroom or a bed space for you, try to create an environment which is conducive for sleep there. So it is crucial that this place should be free of blue lights that comes from LCD screens and mobile screens. That is advisable. Another thing is never to use your bed as an office place or as a work desk or as a wardrobe. Treat your bed as a place for sleep, and if you are a sexually active person, for sex also. But do not use the bed as an office space or a place where you sit and eat things. These kind of usages can have an impact on the quality of sleep that you get. Another thing is to improve your daytime physical activity, such as exercises or running or any kind of exercise or physical activity, because these physical activities can help you get better sleep. They can also improve the level of endorphins in your body, and it is also useful and helpful for your mental health as well. So getting at least a certain amount of physical activity during the day is important for getting good sleep. Another thing is to limit the time of daytime naps that you get, daytime sleeping habit. So if it is possible to avoid sleeping during the day, that's the best thing. But for some people, these daytime naps are part of their daily routine. Even in such case, it is always good to limit the amount of sleep that you get during the daytime to, say, a maximum of 30 minutes per day, and do not go beyond that. That could be helpful. And if you sleep regularly for more time during the day, it could impact your nighttime sleep availability and the quality of sleep that you get during the nighttime. Another important thing is to limit intake of caffeine and sugars during night time. So say for a period of 4 hours prior to sleeping, it is best to avoid coffee and tea or cola or soft drinks which have caffeine or added sugars. Activities like smoking, these could be avoided for at least 4 hours prior to sleep. And yes, smoking, if it is possible, quit it, and if not, do not smoke within 4 hours of your regular sleep time. And limitation to screen exposure is an important thing, and it is best if you could avoid exposure to a blue screen or a screen exposure such as a mobile screen or a computer screen for at least 2 hours before sleep, at least 2 hours. And if it is that is not absolutely possible, at least for an hour before sleep, if you could limit your screen exposure, that could be very good for the sleep quality and quantity of your sleep. And the time interval between your last food of the day, that we call the dinner, and your sleep time is also important. Try to keep it around 2 to 3 hours minimum, the time between the last food of the day. And it is always advisable to have the dinner as light as possible, and also at least 3 hours prior to your regular bedtime. That can help your sleep. Now, once you get to bed, there are certain tools that can help you get better sleep, and these are also individual centric. Some things work for some people, for some it does not. So breathing exercises can be something that you can experiment with. For many people, breathing exercises help them get to sleep very fast. For some people, this could be a counting routine, such as counting downwards from 100 or 1000, and for many people it helps. For some people, as we already said, listening to some soft music can be useful. For some people it could be imageries, remembering some beautiful moments that you have had, or imagining some beautiful scenarios that you would like to enjoy. These kind of things could also help us sleep, start sleeping fast, once you get to bed. So the one thing that to be remembered is that none of these work alike for all of us. For some of these things may work, for some it may not. But some of these things are very important, such as the physical activity during daytime, the time between dinner and your bedtime, the exposure to screen, blue screens before your bedtime. All these are very important, and they can have a definite impact on the quality and the quantity of sleep that you get. And sleep is a very important activity that you have to treat as at most important for our well-being and mental health. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.